One of the buildings which Augustus was most pleased to find completed was the Pantheon, the great temple to all gods, which had been built and donated to the city by Agrippa. He went with Agrippa to see it one day, and found it more than gratifying. The Tiber was flooding its banks, as usual in early spring. As they proceeded northward from the capital, a damp wind blew across the marshes, causing Augustus to cough frequently and shiver with the cold, although he had taken the precaution to wind his bare legs beneath his toga with warm strips of wool. But no physical discomfort could dull his enthusiasm at first sight of the new temple. Of all the buildings that were now fast turning Rome from a city of brick into a city of marble, none stood higher in the esteem of Augustus than the temples. For years past the religious rites had been neglected, the temples allowed to fall into ruin and decay, and it was for that very reason, Augustus believed, because their bargain with the gods had not been properly fulfilled, that the Roman state had grown so weak and so corrupt. Now that he had restored the state, he wished also to restore the old religion. Over 80 temples to the various individual gods had been repaired, rebuilt, or built anew. And now, in his honor, this great temple, dedicated not to one, but to all the gods, had been built by his loyal friend Agrippa. Against the deep blue heaven, it rose before them that spring morning, clean and shining in the bright Italian sunlight. Through the columns of the portico, and crossed by their slanting shadows, could be seen the gleaming entrance doors of gold-plated bronze. Carved above the columns on a panel of stone they read the words, M. Agrippa, L.F. Cause tertium fecit, which meant Marcus Agrippa, son of Lucius, in his third consulate, made it. Today, that same inscription still marks the entrance to the Pantheon, keeping alive the name of the capable, trustworthy man who built it. The bronze entrance doors are the same ones through which Agrippa and Augustus entered that spring morning 20 centuries ago. Though the original temple was to be partially destroyed in the following century, it was soon rebuilt, just as it stands today. All the other temples built at the same time have long since crumbled into ruin, along with the belief in those various gods to whom they were erected. But this temple, consecrated to all gods, has escaped destruction. Today it is a Christian church. Under its great dome, open to the sky, countless generations of Romans, ancient and modern, have looked up at that same circle of blue heaven, while the same sun, moon, and stars have shone down upon them through that open window. And through all those centuries of change, whether they worshipped him as one God or as many, they have been guided by the same eternal and unchanging Spirit. For it is not God that changes, but only man's idea of God. God is a spirit, constant and unchanging, no more to be limited by the understanding of men than the arch of heaven can be confined within the dome of any temple. As the bronze doors closed behind the two men that morning, and they stepped out into the portico, Augustus coughed again and complained of a pain in his midriff. Agrippa, seeing that he looked feverish and ill, suggested that instead of going to dine with Maecenas, that he go directly home and send for his physician. Augustus was always ill in the spring, and the physician applied the usual remedies, but this time without success. Hot compresses did not relieve the congestion in the liver, and each day the fever rose. As a last resort, the physician tried cold baths, but with little hope of saving his patient's life. Augustus knew that he was dying, and Agrippa was summoned to his bedside. It was with the sad thought that he was to bid farewell to his lifelong friend that the loyal Agrippa approached the home of Augustus on the Palatine. An extremely simple building it was, not at all a palace, although the word was to come from its name, Palatium. Choked with memories, Agrippa nodded briefly to Livia, Octavia, Marcellus, and other members of the family gathered anxiously in the atrium. He passed on to the small, severely plain, almost poorly furnished room that Augustus always occupied. Stepping to his low, flat, cot-like bed, he bent down to hear the last words of the dying man. "My one hope," said Augustus weakly, "is that the foundation which I have laid for the government of Rome will stand firm." He then removed his signet ring and handed it to Agrippa. That ring was the seal of authority. As Agrippa returned to the atrium, the eyes of every member of the family were fastened on it. The air was vibrant with hostility. Livia resented him because he stood in the way of her son, Tiberius. Octavia felt aggrieved that her son, Marcellus, young though he was, should have been passed by. Marcellus himself was completely astounded by the oversight. Had he not been adopted by his uncle? Was he not the husband of his daughter Julia? What else did that mean but that he was to inherit the political power as well as the private fortune of his uncle Augustus when he came to die? But Augustus did not die, not on that spring day of 23 B.C. Very shortly it was announced from the sick room that the dying man had rallied. By summer he was well again. That, however, did not remedy the attitude of the family toward Agrippa. Even though Augustus protested that, having no legal rights to do so, he could not actually appoint anyone as successor, their jealousy and distrust of Agrippa continued. So marked was it that Augustus was made miserable, and Agrippa, never ambitious for himself, was disgusted. There was work for the empire to be done in either Armenia or Syria, and with that as the real reason or excuse for a hasty departure, Agrippa left Rome and went east. Taking up life again where he left off, Augustus turned his thoughts to another important part of the plan to restore the old Roman religion. At his request, a long poem was now being written, which was to serve the Roman people as a Bible or sacred book of their religion. He was eager to read it,